Hey everybody, welcome to the Realism lecture. Realism came out of idealism because it was invented by Aristotle, who was a student of Plato's and wasn't happy with the way Plato was running things and came up with his a whole new philosophy. Where idealism looked at the kind of this ethereal world of the absolute self or God or the world of ideals, realism takes exactly the opposite take. It looks at what the physical universe is. Reality exists whether or not we're here. You know, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound, a realist would say, of course, it's gonna make a collision with the ground. That's gonna cause a concussion shock wave, and you're gonna hear that. Okay, I'm gonna try to do something here. I'm going to try to conduct an experiment that will demonstrate why Plato disagreed with Aristotle. Okay. Here I have a sheet of paper. Here I have a binder. If I drop them at the same time, what do you think is going to happen? Okay. The paper goes slower than the binder. Okay. If we attach a slow thing and a fast thing together, what do you think is going to happen? Okay. We have the piece of paper directly on top of the binder, and we drop them. They drop at the speed of the binder. Okay. The point of that is this. If you just use logic, like Plato would want you to do, if you attach a slow thing and a fast thing together, the slow thing should slow down the fast thing, and the fast thing should speed up the slow thing, so you should reach some type of intermediate middle speed, right? Well, like I just showed with the paper and the binder, that doesn't happen. What you think and what the real world does oftentimes don't coincide. So Aristotle pushes people to think instead about the actual real world. Okay? So for metaphysics, for reality, it is the ultimate reality is the physical universe, regardless of people's interactions with it. If that's the reality, how do you come to learn? This is where, if you ever watched The Magic School Bus, Miss Frizzle comes in. You got to get dirty, make mistakes, get messy. For a realist, you have to interact with that universe. Big proponents of hands-on learning. Okay, you got to do stuff to learn, to a point. There's also going to be a hierarchical relationship in realism like there was in idealism. Because in realism, the most important factor a teacher can have is being a subject matter expert. Okay? So within, let's say, my chemistry classroom, I am the subject matter expert. Therefore, the students really don't have much space to question me. Okay? And sometimes you're just not going to experience something like the atomic weight of sodium is 23. Trust me, take it to the bank. I don't need to prove that to you. So we've already covered in just these few minutes metaphysics and epistemology. Metaphysics, ultimate realities, the physical universe. Epistemology, the preferred way is to manipulate the universe, to get messy, as Miss Frizzle would say. Now, a couple thousand years after Plato, along come a couple of philosophers you may have heard of. One would be Francis Bacon, who is often credited with developing the scientific method, whereby you have a problem, you propose some hypothesis, you test it, you measure your results, and you make some type of conclusion. Okay, it's pretty much straight logical thinking applied to the physical universe. The other is John Locke. Not the character from Lost, the other John Locke. What Locke says is this, that the human, or the human mind, is born completely blank. And it's the person's experiences that shapes your mind. He used a Latin phrase called the tabula rasa, which means blank slate. Okay? And it's your experiences that write on that slate that develop your mind and your intellect. In a realist classroom, okay, you would be studying a lot of math and science. That's kind of easy. But you'd also study a lot of language. Because Accuracy is everything to a realist. You want to be as accurate to the physical universe as possible. Therefore, accuracy in your language is paramount. If you and I are using two different definitions of a common term, we're going to be talking past one another and not coming to an accurate understanding. So, science, obviously, math for the measuring, and language for the communicating. Those are going to be three huge topics for a realist teacher. Okay, the contributing thinkers would be Aristotle, John Locke, Francis Bacon, and some others. Criticisms of this are many as well. All these philosophies will have criticisms of them. But the perceived weaknesses here are too much of an emphasis on the physical universe and the negating of things unseen. Okay. Also, the hierarchical nature of the relationship between the student and the teacher, who's the subject matter expert. That's often seen as a conservative or silencing voice within the classroom. And there's, specifically within education, a pretty big divide over this next person. E.L. Thorndike was a contemporary of John Dewey's. So we're talking about the early 20th century. And he said, excuse me, let me read it to you so I get it exactly right. Whatever exists in some amount. To know it thoroughly involves its quantity as well as its quality. But the first part of that's where the controversy comes in. Whatever exists in some amount. Therefore, it can be measured. Out of that observation by Thorndike, the entire standardized testing movement comes from. Okay, the IQ testing. If intelligence exists, it must exist in some amount. Therefore, we should be able to measure it. Well, we're living a century later now, and there's been a lot of holes poked in that, a lot of methodological issues with the measuring of intelligence and what intelligence actually even is. Okay, realism's a pretty easy philosophy to understand. I think that's all we're going to talk about it. Have a great day. Bye.